I hope everyone's good. But how's everyone doing today? I hope everyone's good. I hope everyone's doing good, or as good as we can be, right? What's going on, everyone? Welcome. My name is Celso Garcia, and I'll be your host today. And you can always hit the like, subscribe button, hit the Facebook like button, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, Substack, and TikTok. Thank you for joining me today from my home, where I'll be speaking about a lot of relevant topics. But the most important topic I'll be speaking on, considering the fact that I'm a New York City resident and a longtime supporter of Zora Mandani, and pretty much a supporter of budgets that are good for not only for workers but for everyone, right? Because one, I have kids that are in public school. Two, I've worked in city and state agencies for many years. And three, I'm a community better member and also a community activist. So to me, everything matters. There's no shortcuts. Um, Obviously, for years, we've been getting shortchanged in the budget process. New York City has always traditionally been shortchanged. There's something that's called in politics. I remember when I went to Albany, and it was a legend that trained me, or I learned a lot from Edward Rogowski, which is a known person in Albany in New York City politics, a public education advocate, and a lot of people have to understand that politics is not always what it appears to be, right? Politics is not always what it appears to be. As much as you want it to be one thing, it sometimes is something else, right? So, in all my years dealing with politicians, it's hard to see who is on the people's side and who's not on the people's side. So, this battle is brewing, this war is brewing between using accounting tricks and trying to make it seem as if the city has more money than what it has, or actually funding the programs and having the cash at hand before initiating or launching more programs, right? So it's about what vision you have for the city. What do you think is important? Which way is the best way to actually hold the budget, right? How do we hold the budget? How do we hold our politicians accountable? And how do we pass a comprehensive budget where people have a roof over their heads, where people have a place to live, and um, uh, how can we reconcile the promises that Zoran Mandani made, but at the same time um, dream big and not cave into those forces that wanna see the mayor fail, right? Because there's so many people that would love to see Zora Mandani fail, because when Zora Mandani fails, they win, right? As far as um, the public showing that they can crush a populist movement, showing that they could crush somebody that is supported and has more than a 60% favorability rating. And a lot of people were against Zoran, but as he has rolled out a lot of policies and shown his skill at navigating the political terrain, more and more people have trusted him, and he has become more mainstream and being supported mainstream. This is dangerous for the lobbyists and for the class that only cares about their own interests, right? They want to make sure that the rich are taken care of, and they don't really care about what happens to the regular working person, right? And so this is not only an ideological divide, considering that Zoran Mandani is a Democratic Socialist of America candidate that has a platform of taking care of workers, fighting for workers, and making sure that this social means of controlling the economy, right? It's a different approach. So let's listen to Zoran Mandani's video on the budget proposal that Julie Menin has proposed. He's saying it's like a bait and switch, right? Julie Menin is the city council speaker. She really controls a lot of the power of how things move in the city council, and if they decide to support Zoran's budget or not. She came out with an alternative proposal, and she's basically new to the job, but she's saying that she wants to raise she doesn't want budget cuts, but that she wants to raise alternative revenue paths that will be able to cover the in other words, accounting tricks, by not paying the interest on any loans, by pretty much hiding the money so it won't look as bad. But Zoran is saying, hey, this is a game they're playing. They're playing chicken, right? Let's listen to it.
Well, my friends, we're in the middle of it now. Council Speaker Julie Menin just released her budget proposal. Her plan claims to close the city's $5.4 billion fiscal gap without taxing the rich or cutting services. The problem is, that's not what it would do. If her proposal was adopted, it would result in slashing billions of dollars from agency budgets, and working New Yorkers would pay the price. It double counts savings, overestimates revenues, exaggerates savings on interest payments.
You hear that? Double count savings. So the savings, she's double counting them. Like, for example, increasing the red light cameras that are going to be passed, right? She wants to increase the red light cameras, right? She wants to increase the red light cameras, the revenue from that. But the thing is, if you're counting on fines, we know that not everyone pays their fines on time. So it's money that you have on paper, but it's not necessarily going to go directly into the city's bank, right? So that means the city will have to still borrow money, and they'll be passing the buck on to the next year, right? So he's saying in a smooth way that a lot of the stuff that she's offering are just accounting tricks that don't really fix the problem. So he's saying we could fix the problem right now if you stand up for taxing the rich and for pushing for the rich to be taxed.
And in the midst of this historic budget deficit, the Speaker's $6 billion proposal asks Albany for just one thing: more time to reduce class sizes. My position? Tax the rich. Make sure the wealthiest New Yorkers and most profitable corporations pay their fair share. End the drain. For a long time, the state has taken more from the city than the city's received in return. And I'm working with Albany to change that. Without it, our deficit won't disappear. It will repeat, year after year, asking future generations to shoulder the burden. We will solve this budget crisis, but I'm not going to let it come at your expense. Back in January,
So they explained the budget, right? And it's not, he doesn't want to just pass the buck and quietly behind the scenes just reduce programs and not fund education. So they're saying that, okay, there's a mandate from New York State, right? That the city has to reduce how many students are in every classroom. So by delaying it, they would use the extra money to but keep the classrooms the same size. Therefore, they don't have to hire as many teachers. Therefore, it could show at, as if they're doing something as for education, but they're not. It's been years and years where education levels of funding have stayed the same. People argue that there should be efficiencies, and I'm sure there are efficiencies you could find because I used to work for the DOE for 5 years, and I know that the DOE is very inefficient with the way they spend their money, the way they fund things, and so I agree with that aspect. However, the main thing I want to emphasize is that you shouldn't balance the budget on the backs of regular working people. Education is important. It makes a difference for a kid having 20 kids in the classroom as opposed to 30 kids in the classroom. It's a big difference, right? Big difference. So if you allow take the money to have 20 kids in the classroom, but still keep 30 kids in the classroom, that's still hurting a child's education, right? Because the smaller classrooms has been shown to be better for kids overall, right? So this was Zoran Mandani's response, and then I'm gonna play to you the city council's response. The city council has a totally different response, a totally different approach. And what people were pointing out was that Julie Menon has $100 million. She's rich. Kathy Hochul is also rich, right? Kathy Hochul is also rich. They both are very rich and powerful elites, right? They're connected to very powerful forces that we have to acknowledge that they're connected to these powerful forces, right? They're connected. As much as they want to say they're not connected, they're connected to this. And Zoran is pretty much trying to fight back and say, I'm gonna fight back, right? Against this approach, right? Which in essence is austerity. Anyone know what austerity is? Austerity is when you cut back programs.
Chair, Councilmember Linda Lee.
The council released our official response to the mayor's preliminary budget for the next fiscal year. Our roadmap for
Okay, so let me show you the city council's speaker's response, right? Partial response, because they released it in a document, but they recorded this video, this social media post, which is not as good as Zoran's, right? They're not as good as Zoran on social media, I'll tell you that much. They cannot compete with him. He has more than 1 million followers, and he just rocks it on social media. And so let's see their video. I guarantee you their video is not as good as his, but who's doing the convincing? Let's hear it.
Let's talk about the city's budget. I'm City Council Speaker Julie Menon.
And I'm your Finance Chair, Councilmember Linda Lee.
The Council released our official response to the Mayor's preliminary budget for the next fiscal year, our roadmap for moving forward responsibly and transparently.
So how do we get here? Over the past few weeks, the City Council held over 32 oversight hearings, identifying potential areas of savings and making sure every dollar is being spent wisely.
The Council identified an additional $6 billion in potential resources across this fiscal year and next. That gives us a real path to close the shortfall and keep the city on a responsible path without cutting services.
So they're going to split it between 2 years. So they're punting. They said it right there. They're punting a lot of the holes and the budget gaps into the next 2 years. So they're using accounting tricks, right? These are huge accounting tricks to make it seem as if the city has more money than what it has, right? This is something that the city has been doing for years, right? They always figure out a way to punt the problems down the line and make it seem as if they have more money than what they really have, right? It's ridiculous.
That includes expanding fare fares and growing NYC Kids Rise with a $1,000.
So Fair Fares is a program that basically allows people to ride the subway at a reduced price, and the buses, they get a Omni card, which is a digital card that they get a discount. They get half off, 50% discount, which they say in expanding Fair Fares, but they allocated $600 million to Fair Fares last year, and they only used $300 million. They only used half of it because, one, they rejected a lot of people that applied. Two, a lot of the people that did apply did not apply and did not know that the program exists. Therefore, they only were able to allocate $300 million out of the $600 million. So it's just a way to say, hey, we're going to help the poor, and we're going to help the, because you have to basically meet 150% of the federal poverty guidelines in order to qualify for Fair Fares. So some people make too much money to qualify for Fair Fares, and that's the issue, right? So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's keep talking about it. And this program is going to be very short, all right? But it'll be powerful, short but powerful, right?
Investment for every public school kindergartner and up to $3,000 for those kindergartners with the greatest need.
Right now, New Yorkers are facing real affordability.
And so basically, they're going to put $3,000 in a Fair Fares program, which is a college savings program, right? And the reason why they're putting in a college savings program is because the college savings program, they could write it off as a deferred compensation or deferred program, and they could get savings. For every dollar they put in, they get money back, and they also get to, it's just another accounting trick that they're trying to use, and they're trying to talk to everyone as if we're not that smart and we don't know what we're doing. We don't know nothing about money, and we don't know anything about what they're talking about. So they're trying to throw pennies at people and to make it seem as if they're helping the poor, right?
challenges. That's why we're approaching this moment with real fiscal discipline, protecting the city's finances and your wallets, while still investing in the services New Yorkers rely on.
We strongly oppose raising property taxes or drawing down the rainy day fund, full stop. Higher property taxes would hurt homeowners, renters, and small businesses across the city. And the rainy day fund should only be used when we've exhausted every single other option.
The administration now has 30 days to respond with a revised proposal, the executive budget. To stay up to date, follow us on social media or visit council.nyc.gov/budget.
So they don't go into the weeds of it, right? Not like Zoran. Zoran went into the weeds of the whole proposal, and he's basically been going into the weeds. And they just threw little carrots and sticks, talk about fair fares, talk about the college savings program, and they don't discuss the details about everything else in the budget in New York City, which has the biggest budget in the United States of any municipality, right? So it affects but by, I don't believe in austerity, right? I don't believe in cutting or taking away or moving around money, and or you're not cutting, but we're just not, we're keeping the budget numbers the same, right? So you're not accounting for inflation, you're not accounting for cost of living for people, right? Which is part of inflation. You're not accounting for higher costs, fuel costs, higher energy costs for city agencies. So basically, by keeping the budget the same, you're basically doing a budget cut by keeping the budget the same, because the budget always has to go up based on COLA, cost of living adjustment, and pretty much what's happening in all the prices, right? So by keeping everything the same, you're pretty much not doing anything for anyone, even though you're claiming that you're doing the right thing, right? And so right now, Donald Trump is angry, right? Donald Trump is angry at a lot of people. He's saying that his popularity is bad because of his press secretary, also because of some of the people he has around him. So right now he's going to go on a firing spree, right? And so just like Menon she claimed to be progressive, right? She claimed to be progressive, and she started out, people thought, oh, don't worry, she's progressive, give her a chance. And I don't think this is a progressive move, right? I don't think this is a progressive move. What Menon is doing is not a progressive move at all, right? Because she just trying to keep the budget the same, and keep a lot of the areas the same and not increase them, right? So that's my take, right? That's my take. And New York City politicians have been on fire, right? And a lot of people are attacking AOC, AOC for her stances on Israel, right? Just to sidetrack a little bit, her stance that she doesn't believe in giving money or weapons to Israel. And right now, Zoran Mandani also says the same thing.
If I could get your response to last night's DSA forum where they decided to endorse AOC. Talking point of the night was her commitment to not vote for defensive weapons, most notably the I wondered if I could get your response to last night's DSA forum where they decided to endorse AOC. The sort of talking point of the night was her commitment to not vote for defensive weapons, most notably the Iron Dome. I'm curious, what's your response as a DSA member who supported her endorsement?
I'm incredibly excited at the endorsement of Congressman Ocasio-Cortez. I was proud also as a DSA member to sign my name on a letter that was encouraging that endorsement. She's someone that has long been an inspiration, not just for me, but for so many New Yorkers, in the ability to both fight back against the kind of politics that has left so many with such little hope, and fight for a future where New Yorkers see themselves not just being able to live in the city, but frankly to dream in the city. And I look forward to her re-election as a congressperson here in New York City, and to continue to work with her to deliver for New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs.
Any comment specifically on the Iron Dome? Comment on the Iron Dome specifically, though. What do you think of?
I'm sorry?
On the Iron Dome specifically, she's voted not to vote for funding for the Iron Dome. What do you think?
I support what the congresswoman said.
Thank you guys. That's all.
So Zoran Mandani waded into federal politics and says he also supports not funding the Iron Dome and not sending money. There's a huge budget gap here in New York. Just 1 week in Iran and we could pay for that budget gap. So it's hypocritical of the power brokers to say that we shouldn't fund the New York City budget, but we should fund fully a war that has cost more than $50 billion, right? That could have plugged the budget gap easily in New York, right? So for politicians to start riling up and going against AOC and going against Zoran Mandani, it's, to me, it's bizarre, right? To me, it's bizarre that they're going against their own constituents in exchange for the lobbyists, in exchange for the big money, right? For the big money, I don't understand why that makes sense, right? So this is it. This is what people are pointing out to. That Menon is fighting back against taxing the rich. But the main reason why she's against it is because she is extremely rich. The quiet fortune of New York City's top anti-tax Democrat, a New York City lawmaker standing in the way of Mayor Zoran Mandani's proposed wealth tax, is exploiting a disclosure loophole to obscure her family's multi-million-dollar fortune. So she only claims $500,000 in income, and the rest of her fortune, she doesn't report it because she uses all these loopholes and accounting tricks not to have to share her whole family money that they have, right? So this is the hypocrisy that we have with a lot of politicians, right? This is the hypocrisy we have. And that's why so let's look at it. Everyone, hit the like button, hit the share button. And I see, I don't know what happened in LaGuardia, but all the flights were halted right now. And so there comes the heavyweights in the city council backing Julie Menin, right? Backing the rich Julie Menin. This is big money lobbyists speaking. Virginia Maloney. I know math is hard, but the New York City Council finance team did the work, digging into the details to find real solutions. Our budget response clearly says no increase in property taxes in the middle of an affordability crisis, no aiding the rainy day fund, a tool for true emergencies. Under the Speaker Menin's leadership, we focus on smart spending and strategic savings, line by line, maintaining city services, no reductions, revenue raisers that don't penalize hardworking New Yorkers. The mayor's proposed city budget is a whopping $127 billion. The city's not broke. We're just badly managed, and we can balance this budget responsibly without putting our long-term fiscal health at risk. I don't understand. Why this attitude? Do they know what is austerity? Do they know what is austerity? Do they understand what austerity is? Right? They don't understand the ramifications of austerity, right? So they're going back and forth with each other and siding with the governor, which has a very low popularity rating and is not doing that good, right? Right? Hit the like button, hit the share button. I appreciate you all. So in California, they're trying to pass something similar, right? And these are the people blocking it, right?
$4 million checks started flowing in from other Silicon Valley heavyweights. This moment that moved Bryn to get involved in politics for the first time. Why now?
Mr. Bryn, you are worth $245 billion. Start paying your fair share of taxes.
A proposed tax on billionaires living in California is gaining national attention.
I mean, how many yachts do you need? They just keep getting wealthier and wealthier, and us on the bottom are just getting stuck with more debt.
When Sergey Brin wrote that $20 million check, he was responding to an unprecedented political moment.
We will deliver universal child care for the many by taxing the wealthiest few.
At a moment of skyrocketing costs for healthcare, utilities, and groceries, a group of labor unions in California are making a bet with huge stakes.
The 214 or 15 billionaires in California collectively have $2.2 trillion worth of wealth, which is just an unimaginable amount of money. What we've proposed is a one-time 5% tax on the worldwide assets that will produce $100 billion.
So we went to California to find out.
So this is the issue, right? A lot of places are proposing taxes on the rich. And the rich are fighting back. They're donating to politicians. They're fighting back across the board. And that even resonates in New York City, right? That's even resonating in New York City. Because the special interests are pumping money and letting know the politicians that they shouldn't tax the rich. Right? That they shouldn't tax the rich. But guess what? They're gonna
He also covers economic topics and reaches.
So that's what I want you to think about. Should people have to be forced to pay the fair share? And why is the city council fighting so hard? Right?
Divide us so they can become.
So I just showed this. Right? I'll show you this. Right? Robert Reich, economist. 1982. Careful, buddy. Foreigners on your cookies. Careful, buddy. That foreigner wants your cookie. Seek to divide us so they can become more powerful. So the rich, all they want is to be more powerful and to control the narrative of the budget. Control the narrative that austerity is good. Right?
They soon acquire Warner Brothers, which are the richest man on earth owns X. The family of the second.
See? So let me switch a little bit over to Trump, right? So this is what scares them, right? These type of things. Mandami, in an interview with former Secretary of Labor Robert Reich, responds to news that Cuomo earned $55 million last year. And so I understand why he opposed our proposal to increase taxes on the top 1% by 2%, because that would include him too, Mandani said. So this is what the budget fight comes down to, not only in the city budget, but in the state budget. This is what it all comes down to. This is the reason why, for all transparency's sake, they don't want to tax the rich, because they are rich. They are rich. They don't want to budge. They don't want to move. They want to sell us a dream and fake it till they make it. Right? They want to fake it till they make it. The budget is out of control because they don't want to pay for essential programs and services that the poor need and working people deserve. Right? They want Major Zoran Mandani to fail. That's their goal. If they see him fail, they're happy. And on some unrelated news, Trump is upset. Right? He's upset, right? Trump is upset. He got embarrassed in the Supreme Court. He said he didn't like the way the argument. Chrissy Noem might not be alone in her departure from President Donald Trump's cabinet. Attorney General Pam Bondi is potentially next on the chopping block, according to a report published Wednesday by the New York Times. Trump, 79, has reportedly discussed firing Bondi as the nation's top prosecutor in recent days. The newspaper reported, citing 4 people familiar with the conversations. So Pam Bondi's on the chopping block. He doesn't like the way he keeps losing in the Supreme Court. He keeps getting upset that they're losing at the Supreme Court, and he blames Pam Bondi not being the best lawyer possible. And then today he went on a rampage over Levitt, right? Because he's blaming her for he's pretty much blaming her for his popularity rating, right? That she's not handling the press the right way. So he has her under pressure, under intense pressure. So
Trump lashed out over what he said was 93% to 97% negative coverage. He called it bad press and fake, then turned his attention to Press Secretary Caroline Levitt, who was in the room. Maybe Caroline's doing a
he said maybe Caroline's doing a poor job, and maybe he should get rid of her, right? Maybe Caroline's doing a poor job. I don't know, Trump said. So he's threatening Caroline Levitt and saying that he is considering firing her. He criticized her publicly. And when Trump starts to criticize you publicly, that means most chances are you're done. So now he's criticizing not only Caroline Levitt, that has been a loyal fan of his and has been doing everything he told her to do, saying everything that he told her to do. So now he's thinking of firing her. He's thinking of firing. Already Kristi Noem got fired, but now he's going down the line and seeing who he could blame for his low popularity numbers. Right? He's blaming them for his popularity numbers. Now Pam Bondi, he's thinking of firing her. The Supreme Court arguments, he wasn't happy with how the Department of Justice is speaking or representing him in court. They're losing too many court cases. But the thing is that his court cases are crazy, and his court cases are not backed by the law. But he still wants them to go in there and win. He doesn't know that the law is the law, and he has burned any type of good faith with a lot of the courts, right? And the Department of Justice lawyers have quit like crazy because they don't want to go into court arguing these things and then end up losing their license or being referred for ethics violations. So in the end of the day, we have to understand that Trump showed up in the U.S. Supreme Court today to show that strength and, I don't know, to intimidate the Supreme Court justices and let them know that he's watching whatever they're doing, right? And so he's trying to show that he's watching everything they're doing, and he's the first U.S. president to ever show up to the U.S. Supreme Court hearing, and so that could be considered questionable, and he felt embarrassed. He told other people that he felt embarrassed by how he was represented and his administration was represented. He felt like his administration got torn up by the U.S. Supreme Court, and right in front of the president too. They didn't show him any respect, as if he wasn't even there, right? They acted like he wasn't even there, like they didn't, like they really wanted to. It made it worse for him because he was just straight up embarrassed inside the Supreme Court in front of the justices, and it was supposed to be a show of strength, and instead they pretty much went hard on him.
Lower courts across the country have blocked it from taking effect.
The president arrived at the Supreme Court Wednesday, while justices inside consider whether his executive order effectively
Ending birthright citizenship is constitutional.
It says children born to parents in the U.S. illegally or temporarily are not U.S. citizens.
Unrestricted birthright citizenship contradicts the practice of the overwhelming majority of modern nations. It demeans the priceless and profound gift of American citizenship.
President Trump left after Solicitor General John Sauer wrapped up. The ACLU's legal director, Cecilia Wang, then told justices the Constitution is clear.
Everyone born here is a citizen alike. That rule was enshrined in the 14th Amendment to put it out of the reach of any government official to destroy.
The case attracted a crowd outside the court.
The Constitution clearly says that all people born in the United States are U.S. citizens.
People do take advantage of the system. Birthright citizenship should be removed for a bit.
California Democratic Senator Alex Padilla also joined the demonstrations.
We're here to defend something that shouldn't even be up for debate.
President Trump defended his order Tuesday, saying the 14th Amendment has gone too far.
It had to do with the babies of slaves, and hopefully it's going to say because our country is being scammed.
After leaving the court, President Trump posted that the U.S. is the only country stupid enough to allow birthright citizenship. Justices are expected to rule on the case sometime this summer. In Washington, I'm Maddie Beertemple.
And it makes me wonder why they're not calling him out for those obviously racially charged comments that he made, right? Those are very racially charged comments that most people would not get away with not being politically correct, right? So now we got a budget fight in New York City, a budget fight in New York State, we got a budget fight in the federal government, and I'm not even going to talk about what's happening in Iran, but we have AOC fighting, we have all the progressives, left-leaning people fighting for their survival, right? We got Zoran Mandani fighting for his affordability agenda. More than almost 2 million people voted for him, and he got the most votes in history, and they still ignoring him as if whatever he has to say has nothing to do with what the people want, right? So we got to get activated and go after these politicians in a educated way, in an intelligent way. Call them, hound them. Julie Manning, hound her. Hochul, call her office, write her office letters, write her office emails, because we need to tax the rich, and we can't let big money control our politics anymore. We need people like that get small donations like AOC and Zoran Mandani. We need politicians like this to represent us, and not just big money people or billionaires like Donald Trump. No, it shouldn't work that way. If not, we're going to lose, and we have lost a lot of the democracy that we have now, where white supremacy and racially charged comments are comments like they just open about it. They don't even care about hiding it anymore. They just straight up open that all of us should lose our citizenships, and that anyone born here shouldn't be a citizen automatically. It's like preposterous. It goes against what everything that America stands for, and they want to go back to before or during the times of slavery, where the slave was a property and wouldn't be a citizen, but would just be the property of the owner. It's ridiculous that Trump is even arguing this in court and even thinking that, but I'm not surprised, right? They've tried to go after everything and anything possible to try to make things better for themselves and not better for the country. Look at the gas prices. Look at these prices are crazy, right? Crazy high. No one can afford anything. And so hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for joining me, and help me and help us in New York City fight for the common person, fight for the worker, fight for the poor, fight for the elderly, fight for those people that are retired, fight for those people that don't have a voice. Let us be the voice of those people that can't have a voice, right? Thank you so much, and thank you for joining me. I'm Celso Garcia, and hit the subscribe, follow button on Facebook. Twitter, which is now X, Twitch, YouTube, Substack, and Instagram, and TikTok. Don't forget about TikTok. Can never forget about TikTok. Hello, my TikTok people. Thank you for joining me, and have a good night, everyone. I'll be out of here early, but I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, and have a good day.